My brothers and sisters who are in Christ, this is Minister Charles Brown from the Doctrinal Institute of Jesus Christ. My brothers and sisters, this is the second part of the lesson on a divine revelation. In our last lesson, we concluded that Adam and Eve were considered the head of mankind at the manifestation of Lucifer on earth. We know that this is true because not only was Adam and Eve the first humans created to be the head of their government to abide in the precepts of God, but to teach others the precepts of God. When Lucifer and his angels manifest in the flesh to deceive mankind, unlike his angels who engaged in sexual activities with the daughters of men, Lucifer's mission was to shame man in the presence of God, and sexual activity with Eve had no part in his mission, as some would suggest. When God used the phrase, "eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden," in Genesis 3rd chapter, 2nd verses, this phrase means to eat fruits like apples or plums for consumption, and never implies oral fornication or penetration of a woman. When Lucifer manifested in the flesh, he exerted his power to execute his mission. His mission was to show that he was equal to God. See Isaiah 14 chapter 13 through 14 verse. And to emulate God's purity. See Habakkuk 1st chapter 13 verses. Again, as any of the leaders' policy, Lucifer will not mingle with those who he thought was his subordinate. See Hebrews 2nd chapter 5th through 6th verses. According to Hebrews 2nd chapter 5th through 6th verses, Lucifer referred to God's creation as man. And in Isaiah 56 chapter 3rd verses, man was referred to as trees. To further shed evidence on this, the word trees in this phrase does not take the same meaning as the word tree in Isaiah 56 chapter 3rd verse. With this said, the trees in the Garden of Eden were brought forth by the seed planted on the third creative day to produce edible food. See Genesis 1st chapter 12th and 2nd chapter 9th verse. Now, God had not caused it to rain on earth at that time because there was no man to till the ground. See Genesis 2nd chapter 5th verse. Therefore, the trees in the Garden of Eden could never be referred to as men. In retrospect, Isaiah 56 chapter 3rd verses refer to men as trees. This only means that after Adam was placed on earth, Satan and his angels was kicked out of heaven to earth, and they manifest in the flesh to deceive mankind. Now, the deception of Satan came through the usage of the word eat. We must understand how the word eat is applicable to Genesis 3rd chapter 2nd and 3rd verses. When this word eat is used in conjunction with mankind, it always gives the connotation of consumption of food throughout the Bible. The only place this word is used in a spiritual context is in Revelation 10th chapter 9 through 10 verses. This word is never used regarding sexual relationships. The word that the Bible used for sexual relationships is uncovered. See Leviticus 18th chapter 6 and through 16th verses, and 20th chapter 11 through 21st verses. Again, the word eat never apply literally to getting knowledge out of fruits, meaning that when Adam and Eve ate of the fruit in the garden, they realized that they disobeyed God. Therefore, it is inconceivable to think that they gained knowledge by eating fruits. And we know that Adam and Eve did not have the technology to get knowledge out of fruits. Remember, it was Lucifer who told Eve that if she eat of the tree, she would be like God and gain the knowledge of good and evil. See Genesis 3rd chapter 5th verses. On the other hand, when the angels told John to take the book and eat it, and it would be sweet in his mouth and bitter in his stomach. See Revelation 10th chapter 9 through 11 verses. The word eat in this verse can be metaphorically applied. Thereby, it is reasonable to conclude that when Adam and Eve ate off the tree that was in the midst of the garden, they began to disobey God and listen to Lucifer, who had manifest in the flesh. The phrase, knowing good and evil, and their eyes was open in Genesis 3rd chapter 5th verses and Acts 26th chapter 18 verse is indicative of a learned behavior. Contrary to academia thought, this divine revelation tells us that God is not confusing in his messaging. Not only did this egregious act display God's total character toward mankind, but showed mankind God's everlasting love. I thank you for listening and stay tuned for the third part of this lesson.